Most likely you're watching this video because you've been doing some due diligence on possibly selling insurance, but you get this like sinking feeling in your stomach that all that insurance sales is a giant MLM pyramid scheme where they talk more about recruiting anybody with a pulse and showing off their fast cars and exotic homes than actually telling you how to become a successful producer. If you feel this way, you're certainly not alone. And what I'm going to spend time in this video is actually describing whether or not this business really is an insurance MLM pyramid scheme and what you can do about it to avoid it. Greetings and salutations. My name is David DeFord, owner of DeFord Insurance Group, where I train and recruit agents nationally to sell things like final expense Medicare over the phone or face-to-face. Thanks for watching. So again, I'm doing this video because I've been in the business since 2011, and ever since I got in as an individual agent before I started and operated my national insurance agency, it was completely obvious that literally all of the opportunities that I was originally researching were something like akin to an MLM type of operation. Think Amway, or think something like Herbalife, where there was a lot of hype, a lot of perceptively BS or nonsense, and less about actually helping you become a producer. And instantly this turned me off when I first started doing my research. And as I've grown as an agent and then eventually developed as an agency, I have found that this MLM type of culture, if you will, this seemingly pyramid scheme-y type of thing, is actually the norm. And the purpose of this video is to kind of give you some insight to this, why this is the case, why it's so dominant, and then how to test and ask questions to see if the agency or the opportunity you're looking for really is an MLM in the sense of a culture, and then what you can do as far as steps you can take to avoid even involving yourself in these kind of shenanigans. So first of all, why is MLM so dominant in the insurance business? It's undeniable. It really is the vast majority of recruiting that goes on. It's likely you've already seen multiple MLM type of insurance agency opportunities. Well, there's two reasons why. First of all, there just is a giant culture of mass recruiting in this business. The insurance business took a turn. I don't know if it's for the worse. There's some good things and bad things about it. But sometime during the 70s, 80s, into the 90s, there was a big push to change the insurance sales agent model from a direct to the carrier model to more of a brokerage model, which more or less supported what we would consider as a direct sales type of environment, where recruiters recruited agents, but who had recruiters that were also associated with larger recruiters. And thus born the MLM type of direct sales model that's really the commonality amongst all insurance agencies in this business. The problem isn't so much the hierarchy where you have the carrier at the top and then direct sales organizations below, big to smaller, than to the actual agent. The hierarchy is not so much a problem in my mind. What the problem is the kind of culture that comes along with MLM. Again, I distinguish MLM hierarchy and MLM culture because if you talk to agents, maybe yourself, and you start thinking about the things that annoy you about an insurance MLM, it's not the structure as much as it is the culture of consumerism, materialism, the culture of hype and over the top silliness, as opposed to becoming a top producer and getting the skills necessary to help people. That's the problem with this business I see more than anything, is that this focus constantly on hype and showing off materialism and all this crap that's just surface and isn't significant at all is what draws a lot of people in, but it sends a lot of people out. It's kind of somewhat of like a race to the bottom. And so what ends up happening at the end of the day is that there's this big problem in this business with people who just don't know how to actually sell. They don't know how to actually do anything significant. And there's such a big dropout because of it. So, and then other aspects that are a problem with this too is that when you have so many people in your hierarchy and there's a recruitment-oriented focus to it, it's likely you have a lower starting period on your commission level, and you likely have a lower ceiling on what your maximal commission level will be as just a producer. And the way the comp structures are worked is you have to mass recruit in order to earn any sort of significant commission. So all of this kind of promotes this MLM culture of mass recruitment and hyping the whole opportunity with materialism instead of, just developing skill and focusing on helping people instead. And in my mind, like I said, is what detracts it from really being something that, people really like and appreciate. Now, how do you know if you're in an MLM? So I want to cover this too, because again, you're likely watching my video, doing some due diligence, stumbling across it, trying to figure out if the insurance sales business is right for you. And it's real easy, again, to establish if you're looking at an insurance agency that adheres to the principles of an MLM culture. The first big thing is that you're going to see ads about these organizations literally everywhere on ZipRecruiter, Monster.com, job boards, etc. They'll talk more about the benefits or the sizzle as opposed to the steak. And when I say the benefits or the sizzle, they're going to talk about things like exotic trips, about the 7 or 8 figure income opportunity, how people who were flipping burgers 1 year before are now, big time money earners because of their massive recruiting efforts that they made. And then when you actually go to their opportunity meetings in person or on, some sort of group conference, there's more emphasis placed off of, again, the material aspects of this business. There's a famous organization where the owner is constantly showing off his jet, or they're showing off their cars. And that's usually a sign that they push recruiting over you and developing you as a producer. And again, my advice, I guess it's just me talking, you got to make your own mind up. But when you see this stuff, this is a huge red flag that you need to think twice before jumping in bed with these people, because they're throwing off the vibes that this is what you should be concerned with, like a magician showing you some big thing that you look at, but what does the other hand do? Well, the other hand's ripping you off and taking your money, in my opinion, relative to some of these other options. So if you find you're in this situation, or you look around and you find you're possibly looking at an MLM, what do you do about it? How do you find something that's not focused so much on the recruitment side? Well, bottom line, you need to be looking for organizations that are more focused on training you versus recruiting. And again, it all comes down to what are they proposing to you on the front end. If you go through my agency onboarding process and you learn more about it, links above and below if you're interested, you'll notice there's very little talk about actually recruiting. Almost all the talk is about how to help you become a top producer, how to help you learn how to sell insurance, how to help you with lead systems that'll put you in front of qualified prospects, how our training protocol works to help develop you faster as an agent. This is what a good agency should always focus on, in my mind, if your goal is to actually produce. And here's the other thing I'll add that I really didn't put in my notes here, but it's kind of sticking out to me right now. Why is there such an emphasis right now with you on selling instead of recruiting? Well, here's the thing. I have no problem with recruiting. It's what I do in my agency. The problem is the timing in which you begin to recruit. You have no business as an insurance agent brand new to this business to recruit a single soul. You have no clue what you're talking about. You're ignorant, as all of us are when we first start. I wouldn't want a doctor that had never performed surgeries to begin a surgery performance on me or to teach me about surgeries. Why would I want that? I want somebody who has street cred, who's been doing it for a while. And so that's, again, the other problem with these MLM-focused agencies is that they focus more instead on mass recruiting, and there's somewhat of a race to the bottom aspect where if you don't have somebody directly above you who's your most important point person in the whole business that doesn't know how to sell and certainly couldn't train you how to sell, the failure is so much more likely than we would hope to see, but it is what it is. So bottom line, if you find this kind of stuff, avoid it. Do your due diligence, thumb around on YouTube, certainly so on Google, and look for agencies that talk more about training and developing agents to sell successfully. And if you hear a lot of hype about recruiting, guys, it's the easiest tell. Just don't bother with it. There's likely a lot of different issues that you're going to run into, and it's best just to be avoided. Hope you enjoyed this video on how insurance MLMs work and figuring out if they're really a pyramid scheme, if they all are. And the good news is that they're not. You just got to do your due diligence to find the right organizations that focus less on the culture that MLM seemingly pervades everywhere and more on developing you as an agent. So if you want to learn more about my agency, again, links above and below. Subscribe if you haven't. I do daily content like this all the time. If you got a comment or anything, feel free to leave it below and like this video if you haven't. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you later.